just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day since I made room for grace. I want to live without making demands, asking for help when I need it, being happy just doing the best that I can. When I stumble, I won't be defeated. Since I made room for grace, I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day since I made room for grace. If I had insisted on all that I wanted, I see I'd have sold myself short. But when I stopped resisting, I got what I needed, and so much more. Since I made room for grace, I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive since I made room for grace. Just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day since I made room for grace. Since I made room for grace.
What a beautiful song to open up with today. I Made Room for Grace by Sue Riley. You know, I'm just noticing something happened with the live stream to Facebook. So just give me a half a second. I'd set it up, but for some reason it's not happening. And Mandy verified that for me. So let's see. Just give me a second, please, because we do have some people who watch live on Facebook and they rely on that notification from Facebook that says we're here. So or maybe I just had no, it says waiting for live video. I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry. Welcome. Good morning. This is Beverly Pryor, and I'm the minister at Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. And we are now going live to Facebook, so I can, forgive me for that little moment of technical fooling around. So let's just take that idea of I made room for grace and just take a deep breath in and release that breath. Just relaxing into this moment and letting go of all the distractions and the technology and the time change and the sugar high and whatever else is going on in this moment. We just let go it all. Become present to this moment and this time and open our hearts and open our minds. Just sanctify this time together for the highest and best for everyone concerned. Just reach deep within to know to that knowing that exists within us all the time, every moment and every day. We settle into this moment. We sanctify this time. We just express our gratitude and appreciation for this moment, for this perfection, regardless of the appearances. All things work together for good. And we simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. So I apologize for those of you on Facebook who did not get to hear that first song. I made Room for Grace by Sue Riley, but you can listen to it another time, or you can listen to it when we post it on the website and the YouTube channel that we have. So our opening statement here at Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas is, there's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent. This is our opening statement. It's also our first of 5 Unity basic principles that we live by. They're universal principles. They're not unique to Unity, but we hold them as our foundation. Our announcements are, I mentioned this last week, but I wanted to reiterate it for those of you who are on this week that weren't on last week. The Unity of the Hill Country Board of Trustees approved us to have outdoor activities on our campus. And so we've purchased a couple of canopies that we can set up in this courtyard area or anywhere around on the premise. We don't have internet access out there right now. We're working on looking at a proposal for network extender, but we're trying to find ways that we can safely and joyfully come together as a community for those of you who want that. Many of you have made it clear that you're still hunkered down, you're not coming out. The internet, the live broadcasts, the recordings are the way that you want to stay in touch. We're trying to send you out little notes and messages, and I had a visit with someone yesterday who had recently had surgery, and we're trying to stay in contact with one another as a community as best we can, and also safely. So if you or your group wants to meet, you can see that we have that little porch area. If you have a small group, you can meet there without having to have the tent thrown up, but we can pull up the canopy for outside events. We're going to have a couple of things coming up this Saturday, November 7th. We'll try out having our sound journey meditation outside. We can put chairs out there. You can bring your yoga mats or blankets and lie on the ground. We may or may not need the canopy. I don't know how many people will come. We did this in the park once recently, and we had, 7 or 9 people. Thanks to Cecile Caldwell, who organized it. But we want to try to do some things to keep that energy of love and aliveness on our campus. It still feels as good as it always did. So many people have commented over the years that it feels like home when they come in the doors. And so we know that that's what you're missing, as well as you're missing the faces of your friends. And we know that it's a challenge right now, and you can still get a connection through the eyes, of course, even with the mask on. But being outside, we know it's safer. We've learned that through the months that we've been going through all this. So we're also going to offer a drum circle the first Saturday of December. That will be a little bit different. We won't be exchanging drums and percussion instruments like we normally will, but they'll all be sanitized before and after. And we won't use the natural skin drums. We'll just use the synthetic ones, but we'll do everything we can to keep it safe and have as much community connection as we can build. We still have a number of virtual events going on that we are co-participating in and co-hosting with various Unity of Bernie, San Antonio, Unity of the Valley, Corpus. We have a lot of different Unity groups that are offering online opportunities for A Course in Miracles, meditation groups, metaphysical discussions. So check out our calendar, and Mandy is sending out regular notices. And so we just want you to stay connected and plugged in to the consciousness of love and light and unity in the world. So speaking of all those amazing things, we have a wonderful guest musician. You're familiar with David Roth. He is a singer, songwriter. He's one of the probably most well-known and popular, what we call positive music. He's written songs on the spot. So no pressure, David. But we love that when it happens. So we're excited to have him back. He'll be singing before the meditation and after the talk, and we're really glad to have him with us. So at this time, let's just take a moment. And we know that we haven't been coming together. You haven't been able to write your prayers and put them into the prayer box. Some people have been sending emails or going online to our website and submitting prayer requests. You can even call the office if those are not options that work for you, or you can call directly to Silent Unity or submit here at unity.org/prayer. But prayer is a powerful thing. And, we've been sharing the Silent Unity prayer service on our website, on our Facebook page, Monday through Friday. And it's just a beautiful way to touch in with that prayer consciousness. And right now, with so much going on in the world and sort of a up-leveling of anxiety and frustration, we need to stay centered in prayer. So if you have something on your mind or on your heart right now for yourself or another, a loved one or a friend or the world in general, especially our country, at the point we're in right now, just hold that in thought in this moment. We'll just take a moment and send that forth. In Unity, we pray affirmatively. We pray knowing. We claim our good as our way shower Jesus taught us. So in this moment, we join together. We take a deep breath in and we slowly release. We release all the distractions and the busyness of the morning, the time change, the technology, the TV show we might have been watching earlier. Whatever was happening before this moment, we just let it go. We just release it. We allow ourselves to fall into this present moment together. Together we open our hearts and our minds and we just bring ourselves into the now moment. We bring ourselves together, connected. The minds and the hearts of the people on this live broadcast and those who are watching later. You're included in this now moment. There's no degree of prayer. There's none too great or too small for that absolute good in the world that we know as God. So in this moment, whether your request is for yourself or for another or for the world at large, whether your request is for health or well-being or finances, relationship, there's no degree of prayer. There's none too great or too small. And in this moment, we claim absolute good. We claim the highest and best, knowing that even though we may not have in our mind exactly what that looks like, we know that that love in the universe, we know as God, has all the answers, has all the good prepared for us in this moment. We know that the answer to whatever prayer we have is always yes, yes, yes. So we rest in this truth of the divine yes. We simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The mission and vision statement of Unity of the Hill Country is to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. And we say divine potential because regardless of how it's expressing in this moment, how we are expressing, how a circumstance is expressing, there's divinity there. Without a doubt, 100% always, there is divinity. The potential is in our awareness. The potential is in our awakening to this through our own conscious activity of where we put our attention. So our daily word reader today is Mr. Jack Porter. And Jack, are you here with us? And have you unmuted yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Awesome.
Okay. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day in Kerrville. The word of the day is remember. I bless the people whose lives have touched mine. Grandparents, parents, siblings, members of my extended family, teachers, friends, co-workers, every person I've known has, by his or her example, helped me feel more deeply what is meant by to be human. Some have encouraged my curiosity. Some have taught me life skills. Some have modeled positive attitudes and behaviors. Some have loved me fully and unselfishly. And some have helped me learn to love even when love felt difficult. Today, I remember the people whose lives have touched mine. I pause to think kindly of each one as I savor memories of time we spent together. Whether we're still in one another's lives, have lost touch, or separated by death, I know the experiences we have shared continue to enrich our lives and deeply bless us on our spiritual journeys. In Romans chapter 1, verse 9, I remember you always in my prayers. You all have a great day and bless everybody.
Thank you, Jack. That was beautiful. And now we are going to hear from our amazing guest musician, David Roth. And you can learn more about David and hear more of his music and maybe buy some at davidrothmusic.com. David?
A very good morning to you all. I understand that you're talking about gratitude these days, so I thought I would throw a with my friend Glenn Rothell. How many ways can I be grateful? How many ways? Given the chance, I'm gonna tell you now. How many ways can I give thanks for the blessings I have known? I've got a list and I will tell you how. Grateful for each breath awake, grateful for each step I take, grateful that I am here to play my part. Grateful for the morning sun, grateful when the day is done, grateful that I have you in my heart. How many ways can I give praises for all the gifts I have? Given the chance, I'm gonna shout out loud. Grateful for the universe, for the better and the worse. Grateful that this world keeps spinning round. Grateful for my memories and grateful for my hopes and dreams. Grateful for the blessings I have found. How many ways can I be grateful? How many ways? Now this is the sing-along part. I'm going to sing it a few times and you can join me. Don't worry, you're isolated. Goes like this. How many ways can I be grateful? How many ways? How many ways can I be grateful? How many ways? You sound great. How many ways can I be grateful? How many ways? How many ways can I be grateful? How many ways? I am grateful now. I am grateful now. I am grateful now. I am grateful now.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Glenn. That was, Glenn. Glenn is also one of our favorite guest musicians. David, that was just awesome and perfect transition into our time of meditation. So let's just hold that thought in that beautiful way that David sang that song, just leading us into this gentle time of how many ways can I be grateful? Together, let's take a deep breath in and slowly release. Let's bring our attention to our breath. Just noticing the rhythm, breathing in and breathing out. You may notice a rising and a falling in your chest. If you're breathing deeply, it may be more in your belly. Just settling in and bringing that attention to the breath, knowing that our breath connects us mind, body, and spirit. The breath also connects us one with another in this moment of meditation. As we quiet our minds, as we become present, we make ourselves still and available. Allowing that focus on our breath just to bring us into this now moment. We begin to follow our breath as it moves deeper and deeper within. Each inhale energizing and oxygenating, healing, enlivening every cell in our body. And every exhale, just releasing anything that could take us away from this quiet connection. Releasing, falling into this moment. As we allow our attention to move into the stillness of our very being. We take a moment to repose in ourselves. Become quiet and allow that divinity alive and well, always existing within each and every one of us. Become more and more clear in the stillness. And as we spend a moment in the stillness, we allow whatever moments of gratitude to arise and fill our hearts. Maybe even put a little smile on our face in a time of silence. From the stillness within our soul comes clarity, raising our awareness of all the things in us and as us and through us and around us to fill us with gratitude in each and every moment. From that stillness arises truth. And for this and so much more, we simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
So it is November today. Every month I say, can you believe it? It's already October. It's already September. Every month it's like a shock that we've made it to yet another month in this incredible year. It's just mind-blowing what we're living right now. And because it's November and it's the month of thanks and giving, we always talk about gratitude. And this month, our theme is going to be grateful for. And I've got the little ... grateful for. We're going to explore ways to be grateful for things that we may not normally look at and say, oh, I'm grateful for that as an experience in my life. I'm grateful for that happening. I'm grateful for that experience, that new thought process. Sometimes we're not so grateful in the moment, but it's something we can always choose. We can choose to move to gratitude and appreciation. So we're going to begin this week by being grateful for grief. Yeah, grateful for grief. That's a bit of a stretch for a lot of us, and you might have had a little pang in your heart, in your chest, in your stomach. You might have had a little twist of your eyebrow, like what? Grateful for grief. I don't like grief. It doesn't feel good. I don't enjoy it. I don't want it in my life. But the fact is, as the Buddhists say, we all have 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. So as much as we enjoy joyful moments, we love celebrating, we love to be in the gratitude and appreciation, we're going to have moments that are challenging, that bring us grief. And we can equip ourselves with awareness. We can equip ourselves with a consciousness to move through these times and come out on the other side new and renewed and at a new level of consciousness, a new understanding. We're all pretty familiar with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's definition of the 5 stages of grief. I think it's been out since 1969. It was in a book on death and dying. And those of you who are in, studied psychology, you're in therapy, or you're a therapist, or you've been in any kind of support group, you probably heard these stages. Pretty simplistic and not necessarily linear. Denial, of course, that we're grieving, anger for whatever it is that's causing us grief, bargaining, oh, well, if we just this and that, and, maybe not, and if only, and then depression, once we kind of get past that struggle, and finally acceptance. It's very simplistic in those terms, but it's a big challenge. Grief is one of the hardest things for a human being to deal with. We don't deal with it most of the time very well. Culturally, in our very puritanical world of the United States, we have sort of been raised, many of us, in this Anglo-Saxon kind of environment at the core, not that that's all of the United States, but we've kind of, many of us developed this, buck it up and push through it kind of way of dealing with things that cause us grief, rather than truly being present with it. The 5 stages of grief have sort of been modified over time, and more recently have become 7 stages of grief. Shock being the first part of that denial. Shock can come in many cases. It's not just major trauma, but grief often does follow trauma. We're numb. We can't believe what's happening. This is the first phase. We're just like numb to whatever it is, and we have to kind of come to grips with where we are in this now moment. And sometimes it's painful, and the pain can bring up guilt. We can think that whatever it is that we feel that we're losing is just unbearable, and that is making our lives and other people's lives harder and more challenging. And we don't know how to make it acceptable and how to move forward. And then we become angry, and we start bargaining, and we lash out, and we start the if only I could do this, or if only I had done that, if only I'd said this, if only I'd shown up for that. And then once we give ourselves a good heavy dose of anger and guilt and all those negative emotions, we can become depressed. And depression leads to isolation and loneliness. We have to notice where we are in this process in order to take action and to turn it around and to help ourselves and therefore help those around us. And then once we kind of come to terms and we start taking steps, we can start coming out of it in sort of an upward turn. The anger and the pain dies down, and we can become more calm about it, start looking at ways to reconstruct from here and move through it and put our life together, not going back. We've talked about this since the whole pandemic thing. People keep talking about, I want my life to go back to normal. There's no back to, there's only forward. With what we've learned, what we've experienced, we're going to carry on in a new way. And we get to the point where we accept where we are, we accept the loss of the family member, the loved one, the relationship, and even the loss of a dream. can create grief. If you had an idea of something that was going to be, that acceptance is important, because once we accept that it didn't turn out the way we had imagined, we can become hopeful for a whole new way for things to evolve and to work out. And it sounds as if this is a process step by step. We love that, right? We love our action steps. We love to know what's next. I love a plan. But unfortunately, grief is not like that. Grief is a spiral. It's not linear. Sometimes you feel like you've made it through all the stages of grief, and then something else happens that triggers, and then you're back at that shock, and you're back at anger and bargaining, and you're thinking, I thought I had dealt with this. I thought I had processed this, and here I am again. But this is the cycle of life. I mean, we are complicated human beings. We're operating on so many different levels we're not even aware of. And that's why in Unity, we're always talking about consciousness. Let's become aware. That's why we meditate, we get quiet. That's why we pray, claiming truth. Because these are tools that we have to help us to become more empowered and to be more aware. And from this website, griefandsympathy.com, I found 21 benefits of grief. So I don't have to go through every one of them. You can look this up on your own online. But some of the benefits of grief are that we have an acceptance of things that we can't change. This is the serenity prayer. This is in so many 12-step programs. We just accept that things we cannot change. Sometimes that's hard. We just want to stay in that anger and resentment towards things we can't change. But what good does that do you? None. If you've been there, which we all have, it doesn't do us any good to stay in any of those phases. It's okay to have anger. It's okay to feel grief. It's okay to be resentful sometimes, but don't let that become your identity. Don't become that angry person or that resentful person. Find ways to move through it. Find an appreciation for your life. As you move through grief, you mature, you learn different ways. You learn the ways that don't work very well, shoving it down and acting like it didn't happen. That doesn't work for anybody. Not talking about it, that doesn't work for anybody. That just carries it along with you. So you can become more responsible for your own feelings. And the more you become aware of yourself, the more you can be aware with other people. You'll be a good example. You also open communication channels, and you understand yourself and your own strengths. And then your confidence to cope with other things in life grows more and more over time. You can really decide for yourself what's really important. Do I want to hang on to something that's in the past, that's not even here any longer for me? I'm going to drag that around with me the rest of my life? No, what's important is this now moment. You stop worrying about trivial things, and you can love those around you when you're present in this moment. It may not be that same person that was around you before where you thought you were your happiest in your life, but you'll never be happy again if you keep trying to drag those old things around that are no longer serving you. You can be grateful for the moments that you have. Treasure the happiness in those moments. Create new memories. And grief even brings families together, if you've ever had that experience. I know there was a period of time where my sister and I were a little bit on the outs. We'd had an argument about something, and then her son passed away. That argument was no longer relevant. It had nothing to do with anything. I went to her side immediately because what was important was for me to be there for her. I couldn't tell you today what that disharmony was about, but it totally left because the important thing was the love and the support. And that happens even with greater communities when something tragic happens. It's happening even in the nature of this pandemic. As we are isolated from one another, we are also learning new ways to reach out and come together. Some of you who are online right now, either live on Zoom or on Facebook, or watching later, you've never done things like this before. It's brought us together in a new way because we want to be together. We learn empathy when we grieve because we can understand how someone else might feel. And if we're honest about our own feelings, we give people an opportunity to understand us more deeply. And then we're just relieved when it's all over. We can move on with our lives. These are benefits. They're really, we can stay stuck or we can embrace the benefits of a difficult time. One way, and one cultural way, this is the beginning as of midnight last night through, was it Monday at midnight, is Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. And it's not about death at all. It's about celebration. Look at all the beautiful colors in this particular logo. It's about celebrating the people who have left us physically, but we know that they still exist. In unity, we talk about this human life being finite, having a beginning and an ending, but our true nature is infinite. And this celebration that comes from Mexico, many of you are familiar with it. If you have Latin American family members, Latinx, I think it's called now, meaning Latina and Latino. This is a beautiful celebration of the life and also a bringing back that connection with those. If you don't have that ongoing connection with people who've left you in the physical form, it's a time, a day in the year, 2 days actually, to bring those connections back. They say it's when the veil is the thinnest. And this is a picture of an altar where they've put pictures of people within the family. They've got marigolds, beautiful fragrances. They've got candles lit to invite that connection back. And you see the beautiful sugar skulls, which this was a ritual of the indigenous people, the Toltecs and the Aztecs within Mexico. And then when the Spaniards came in, believe it or not, this was actually integrated. They were bringing the Roman Catholic religion in, and it was integrated into the Roman Catholic festivals and practices. Just like Easter with chicks and bunnies in Europe, there are ways that what they were called pagan, meaning of the indigenous people or country folk, I think is what they kind of refer to pagan people as kind of doing things in a very ritualistic way. But they've adopted so many of these things into practices from a more organized religion sort of way. But this is a beautiful celebration. It's not a mourning at all. The mourning goes on, yes, when people pass away, but this one time a year, it's a celebration of these individuals and of that connection that still remains. They even prepare favorite foods and put these on the altar. And you see the images of the butterflies. This is the time of the year as the monarch butterflies are making their way back down south, and they're everywhere. And the butterfly is a symbol of that spirit, that essence of the loved one still being around. I know when I hang out with my niece, my sister, my oldest sister passed away in 2001, and I'm very close with her daughter. You hear me speak of my niece all the time because she's kind of like my sister, my child, my niece, my friend. We have a very deep and broad relationship. But a lot of times when we're spending time together, and often we're outside, there'll be butterflies that come and linger around. And I always point them out to her and I say, look, that shows us that your mom is here with us and happy that we're spending time together. And that's how I feel about it. I feel strongly that that's true. I know that my sister is very happy that I have a close relationship with her daughter because I had a close relationship with my sister. But this is the time to do that and to acknowledge and to celebrate. And you even see in these beautiful costumes, this sugar skull, they call it the decorative, it's not a scary skull, it's a celebratory skull. And you see the beautiful flowers and the butterfly and the celebratory costumes. But this is a time for us to remember and to have great gratitude for those who were in our life, gratitude for the grief, for the coming into our lives, and also for leaving our lives, because everything happens, everything works together for good, and things come to us for a reason and a season. And not everything is in our life permanently. In Ecclesiastes 3:1-7, it says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh and a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing." We know that one right now. "A time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak." These times are all part of all the time. It's the spiritual gift of discernment that allows us to decide what we do in any given moment. In Philippians 4:6-8, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication and thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. We have a choice what we put our attention on. Grief is a part of all of our lives in so many ways and on so many levels. We can stay stuck in the grief, or we can move past it with where we place our attention. Give our attention to the pain for the moment the pain is there, allow that pain to be alive, and then move our focus. The Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone, and you're the one who gets burned. Have that anger, but let it move on. Don't hold on to it to the point where you're the one that is suffering. You're the one that is burned by the anger. Remember the spiral. Move through the feelings, whatever they are, and move on. Allow them to be present. Don't be ashamed of them. Have your feelings, and know that they're your feelings. They're not. You can't blame someone else for the feelings you're having. You may be having those feelings in reaction to something in the environment, someone's death, someone's comment, whatever it is, some disappointment, but that's your reaction and those are your feelings. Holding on to them, making them about someone else is just going to burn you. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, nor to worry about the future, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. More wisdom from the Buddha. Live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. So whatever is happening, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's the moment that it is. So we have something going on in our nation right now. Many of us for weeks now have been voting. I know I did my early voting. Some of you have mailed in, and some of you will be going to the polls on Tuesday. This is an opportunity to exercise your freedom and your right to vote. But everybody gets a vote. And this is an opportunity where grief could happen for many, many people. It's going to. You know, we're pretty much in our country split down the middle. We are. I mean, there's that little group of undecideds, but and every day the poll is a little bit this way and a little bit that way, but your neighbors, your family members, your loved ones have a right to have their own opinion. Somebody's going to come out in the end, and someone's going to, everybody's going to come out of it. Some are going to be on the side of the victor in each race, and someone's going to come out on the side of the loser in each race. You have a choice how you deal with your grief if you're one of the ones that has to face grief. And also you have a choice on how you deal with it if you don't have to grieve. We're all in this country together. We're all Americans. We're all citizens of the United States. We're all here hoping and dreaming and praying for the same thing. We have different ways of looking at it. We have different ways of seeing what's going on in the world. But my way is my way and your way is your way. It's not a right way and a wrong way. And whatever comes out of this election, we need to deal with it with love. We need to deal with it with remembering who we are, that we are one. We are one community. We're one family. We're one with that absolute good, that divinity in this world. And that's all there is. When it comes right down to it, that's all there is. So this week, your weekly practice is grace and grief. So however it comes out, whatever it is that you're facing, not just Tuesday, not just whenever that finally gets settled, but whatever it is that you're facing, choose grace or grief. You can grieve, but if you happen to be on the side of someone who's declared the winner in any particular race, choose grace, choose humility, choose peace and love in your community, choose harmony over bolstering or just find a way, get still, listen to that still small voice, embrace the love that you are and live love through your thoughts and your words and your actions. This week is a really good opportunity to practice grace or to process grief. Either way it turns out for you, I love you. And I want you to know that. And I want you to be your highest and best in every situation. So we'll close out our little time of celebration here and discussion with more music from David Roth.
What a beautiful talk. I find that when I get caught up in the hiccups of life, it's because I'm not willing to change and I'm stuck somewhere. So here's a new song on behalf of all of us. I'm ready for change. I'm ready to move. There's no one to blame. There's too much to do. I'm ready to go. To get back on track. It's time to move on. And there's no turning back. It's my sacred job to strike some kind of chord, to challenge and help, not dismiss or ignore. Everyone gets a chance with nothing to prove. And when I do my part, then the mountain will move. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves with passion and purpose, and we can achieve the high promise of truth and the fight for what's fair, to see that all people get their fair share. So I'm ready for change. I'm ready to go. It's long overdue and a debt that we owe. Everyone gets a chance. With nothing to prove. And when I do my part, then the mountain will move. When I do my part, then the mountain will move. I'm ready for change.
Thank you, David. And we know sometimes that mountain is within us. Got to move a mountain that's deep inside. So I just wanted to express my gratitude and appreciation for those of you who continue to give, even though we can't come together. You are mailing in your checks, you're giving online, and it really makes a difference. We're doing all we can to stay together and to hold a space for the time that we can be together face to face. So let's just bless those tithes and offerings that come in every week with this offertory blessing, and those that you are sending out as we speak. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I send it forth with my blessings and my love. And we close with our prayer protection by James Tillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches and is. So we'll see you next week, online, of course. And if you choose to come Saturday to the Sound Journey Meditation, we'll be outside under canopy. And invite your friends. And now we're going to open up the lines, and we'll have a little time for greeting.
Thank you, David. Beautiful songs today.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, David.
It's me, RevBev Leslie.
Hey, Leslie, how are
How
you?
doing?
Good. Is this your first time to get to join us?
Yes.
Yay, I'm glad. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Hetty.
Hello.
Hi. And you see Mandy's online. I see Danny. And of course, Jack was our reader. Mark and Gayleen. Rocio, Judy, Kara, Jerry's out there. And Carolyn Bailey doesn't have her camera turned on today, but I can see her name. And I'm not sure who else, but we had about 15 people on today. And some of you were multiples together. So thanks for joining us. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? Anybody else want to say, express your gratitude to David.
No, I would too.
Wonderful music.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
I want to show you my backup band.
Mariachis, they're the sugar skulls.
I'm so happy that you talked about that, Beverly, because go to Mexico often, and the movie Coco, if any of you haven't seen the movie Coco, it is one of the most beautiful films of any genre I've ever seen, and so much insight into the Mexican culture and how they use that altar that Beverly so beautifully showed in her talk to remember the spirit and connection of generations gone by. You know.
Yeah, indigenous cultures really honor their ancestors, you know, the Native Americans as well. And I think, well, Danny, you could speak to that.
It's very similar.
Yeah, and so, yeah, it's beautiful. And Coco is a Disney Pixar movie. So if you're looking for it, you can find it on Fandango or probably Disney's website, or it's animated, but it's, is that it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
got it.
that's cool.
There's my fishing, Day of the Dead fishing. It's a little town from Mexico.
Good. Yeah, you want to catch a fish with more on it than that, for sure.
Yes.
Well,
I have to say something. It's
yes,
Rocio,
Rocio.
because I was born in Mexico, and the tradition at home from my mother was to have all the family that was gone to the other side, to have them present, and the food and the candle and everything. And he made us promise to continue with that tradition. So it's very sweet. It's very loving tradition, and it has nothing to do with it like you expressed it. You didn't say anything that was not true. It was just the way I experienced it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's yes. De nada.
My godparents are Hispanic. I was born in Victoria, and you can't describe the amount of love and emotion that's in the house during that period of time. It's just awesome.
Yes, yes, and there was. I'm too old to know if it's ongoing yet, and I've been too long in the States. But in the Isle of Pátzcuaro, it's celebrated, and I was there once upon a time in this celebration when the whole isle gets lighted, because in the cemetery of that isle there is a party going on, to celebrate. And of course, lots of tequila. Everything gets in there. And it's an amazing experience, because it's all the people, all the tourists also, because it's a site in Pátzcuaro, in Jalisco. That's
Well, it's very beautiful. So many artists have adopted the sort of sugar skull artistry from Mexico into their paintings and their artwork. As I was doing my research, I'll tell you, if you want to learn a little bit more about it, there's about half-hour, 45-minute PBS program that you can find on YouTube that gives a really good background to Dia de los Muertos. I'm always afraid I'm going to say it wrong. You say it, Rocio.
Say it again.
You say it, the Day of the Dead in Spanish.
Día de los Muertos.
Muertos. There you go.
Un día es para los niños muertos, otro día para los mayores muertos. So there's a day for the children, and there's a day for I get mixed up with one and the second.
The first one is for children. That's what the PBS special said.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yes.
So it is quite something. And then you have the pan de muertos, the famous pan de muertos that we make for that day, with the bones in there.
Yeah. In the shape of a cross, right?
Yeah. No. Yes, actually.
Bones
yes.
are in the shape of the cross. Yeah.
They go around the big bread, which is delicious.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful celebration. And in preparation for this during the week, it's, I've lost all my grandparents, both of my parents, a brother, a sister, a nephew. So this week has been rich, just as you were saying, Danny, full of love. As I am preparing this talk, I'm thinking about all those loved ones that I still feel very connected to. And,
Yes.
this experience, it made me want to build my own altar. I just didn't have time to go and find all the things, but, I have pictures and,
Come on.
In my family, there was a glass of water included
yes,
in
yes,
case the
and-
dead were thirsty.
water and salt, right? Along with a bowl of salt, a bowl of water, their favorite food.
I don't
foods.
remember the salt, but there's variations. Like
Yeah.
in enchiladas, there's variations of
Exactly.
enchiladas.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Hi, Carolyn and
Hello.
Jay. I see you came on camera now. Good to see you. Say hello to everyone in Facebook land for who I'm not sure who's watching. And I have to apologize again for not getting that connection set up the first time I tried, but it's been a good day, and stay positive and loving this week regardless of
Amen.
focus on the love and focus on your families and all the blessings that we have in our lives.
Yeah.
We're sending you
However it
gratitude.
turns out.
Yeah.
We're sending
Yeah.
you gratitude, Beverly.
Amen.
Who was saying?
I said, we send you our gratitude, Beverly.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that.
Of course.
All right.
Y'all have a great day.
Rocio,
everyone.
Did you have something else to say?
Sorry about that.
Rocio, oh, she hung up.